All right. Well, it is 7:15. I want to make sure that I'm not leaving anybody out. Great. Oh, that was good. I'm ready to go to Israel. Everybody online, you got the digital itinerary, and I'm going to be referring to that tonight. It's our daily itinerary, and talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things we're going to do and some of the things we're going to see. Robin, would it be possible, or let's see, who else do I have that knows how to run the Pro Presenter? Would you be able to help me advance through some of the pictures? You're an expert. Thank you, babe. Everybody, this is Shannon. If you haven't met her yet, this is my wife, and she. We're very excited about this trip, and it's been a few years since we've been, and we were super excited when we first just floated the idea of, hey, would anybody like to go to Israel? Immediately, people just jumped on it. It was like, let's go, and so I'm super thrilled. And if anybody's watching online on Facebook, welcome. This is an informational meeting for our trip in February, the end of February to the early part of March, to the Holy Land, the incredible nation of Israel. We're going to have an amazing time. So here's what we're going to do is I'm going to, I just introduced him in case I haven't introduced him here, but I think everybody knows him. My dad, Sam Pavlak Sr., he's the original copy. And his and his lovely bride, Michelle. We just celebrated their wedding on the 17th, and it was a beautiful, 1 week. 1 week newlyweds. So, can you hear me okay? Can you all hear me? Okay, cool. What I'm going to do is ask you if you're not speaking, go ahead and mute, and then that way you all can be excited and talk to one another, ask each other questions, and then figure out if there's something you want to ask from there. So I'll let you all say hi to the rest of the crew that's going to Israel with you. We've got the Curtises that are in California. We've got Annette and her friends that are, and what are the names? We've got Deborah and Terry. Anybody else on your crew, Annette? Oh, I can't hear you. I did. I told you to mute, and you listened to me. Lynn Wagner, great. You're in Maine. They're watching and joining us from Maine. We have Sarah Humbert, who she's in the far-off exotic land of DeLand? Yeah, DeLand. So we're going to start going through the itinerary right here, okay? So day one, daily activities. On February 21st, we're all going to fly out of Orlando, except for the folks that are coming from California or Atlanta or Alabama. We're going to meet in Atlanta. That is, or Oklahoma. However you wherever you're coming from, those of you who are not in Orlando or Atlanta are going to have to get your connections, but we can help you. Our travel agent can help you to book those plans. Everything, the price of the trip, as you knew, is based on double occupancy. For those who want a room by themselves, there is an upcharge, and I believe that was $780 if you want a room by yourself. And not all those rooms have been assigned, but if there's somebody says, I'm traveling single, but I'd love to share a room with somebody and share that save that expense, we can help that happen. All right. The one thing that I will tell you about this trip and the way that we plan to do it is we do not like giving you a price and then nickel and diming you and saying, oh, that's extra, oh, that's extra, oh, that's extra. We wanted a package price so that you know that everything is included. the flights from Orlando, Atlanta to Tel Aviv and back, all the comfortable motor coach, the incredible facilities. We're staying in the nicest hotels that I've ever stayed at in Israel. I was looking through that recently. I was like, this is going to be really a beautiful trip. All of our tour guide, the tours to every location that we're going to see, the taxes are going to be included, and they recommend, our travel company recommends that we have travel insurance, and that travel insurance covers just any weirdness that might happen in case you were to get sick or have an injury or something like that. Travel insurance. Some of your personal insurance may be fine overseas, but they always recommend. In fact, sometimes they mandate it, and that is an additional fee of around $50, $60, and I'm going to cover that for you. So I'm not going to charge you anything extra for that. So I want to let you know that everything, even your tips to the driver and to the tour guide, are included in this. There won't be any surprises. The only thing we tell you up front is the lunch is on your own, but they feed us this big breakfast every day and a big dinner every night. So some of you don't need to eat all that long, or you can grab yourself something quick. Almost every day for lunch we have a falafel or a shawarma or a pita pocket, and all of those places have pizza and burgers too. You will not starve. You will not starve. I do want to let everybody know that Israel is Europe. Okay, Israel is Europe. It is also an ally of the United States. It is a very ancient but advanced country. There's iPhones everywhere. The modern technology. There's connection, international connection. You will be able to log into Wi-Fi. You'll be able to communicate back at home. You may even this is a joke, but kind of halfway serious. If you ever get any concerning calls from home about people concerned for your safety because they've been watching the news, and you can tell them there's nothing happening, we're fine. That has happened on our trips before. American News loves to report things that are happening in Israel that the tourists on the ground never see. We never see. So we're gonna join together at the airport. We will fly out from there. Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta Airport is where we will make our connection, and we will fly directly into Israel. On Thursday, we wake up. I recommend you sleeping. Hello, how are you? Welcome. Yeah, there's food here. Please fill up. And feel free, if you're hungry, get up and go get yourself some more, okay, seconds or thirds, because I can't carry all this stuff home. There's a lot of food. When I recommend that you try to sleep on the flight, because it will be a tiring day. Very often when we fly to Israel, we fly in the evening, and we really only have time to kind of get onto the bus and get to the hotel and check in for the evening, but that's not the case on this. We're going to be flying in fairly late morning, so we're going to have time. So that's going to mean we're going to be tired by the end of the day, but we also want to show you some things before we check into our beautiful hotel. So we're going to be met by our tour directors and our tour guide. Doron Buchstein is a good friend of ours. He's led us in tours before, one of our favorite tour guides. He's full of amazing stories. He wears a hat that says, "We walk," because he'll stop and talk and tell you about the places we go, and then he'll go, "We walk," and that means let's go. So you'll get used to hearing Doron say, "We walk." All right. Doron is a former Special Forces Israeli soldier. He has seen the hottest of actions. He's got incredible stories to tell. And he is friends with people who used to be terrorists in the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And they get together now as old men and sit and have coffee and talk about the old days. It's very much like the Pearl Harbor Japanese soldiers who come and meet with the Pearl Harbor Americans, and they have fellowship and friendship now. It's kind of a very interesting and bizarre thing. But we are in good hands. I have seen, we encountered a pickpocket trying to go after somebody in a crowded space, and I sicked Doron on him, and we were very well protected. You're going to love having a Special Forces soldier as our tour guide. He's really excellent. He also doesn't mind breaking the rules a little bit. So occasionally he'll say, "Hey, if you want to, I can take you to this place that we may not have permission to go." And I highly recommend it if he does that. He took us up to the top of the mountain where Jesus prayed when he saw his disciples in distress on the Sea of Galilee and walked out on the water to them. And we watched and greeted the sunrise from that vantage point. We got in trouble with the tour guides, or with the state, what do they call it? The park rangers, yeah. They were like, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here," and he talked us out of trouble. So if you get an opportunity to follow Duran into a special adventure, it's super fun. You're going to have a great time. But we were going to keep you very safe. They will also, because of the excellence of the tourism program in Israel, this is their number one industry. They want tourists to have a great time, to come back, to spend your money, and they want to keep you safe. It is their number one priority in the nation of Israel on all sides. Christian, Jewish, and Muslim will all be kind to you. They want you to come back, and they want you to say good things about Israel. So you can be confident you're safe, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The guides will help us through the customs process. We let everybody know right away. Because Israel tends to be surrounded by enemies that don't like them, they are very protective about who they let in. So they don't mind making you a little nervous to say, "Why are you here? What are you going to be doing? How long are you going to be here?" And they're just checking to see if you got anything to hide. And when they go, "Okay, thank you, enjoy Israel." So don't be put off or alarmed by that. Their security at the airport is very stringent. They might take a few guys that they go, "You look funny," and they might go take you to the back room and just ask you a few questions, check you out. They're going to put you on the bus. Everything is fine. Our Pastor Dave Martin. Michelle's brother Dave Martin went with us. His name happened to be the same name as somebody on a no-fly list, and so they checked him out extensively on the way in and on the way out. He made all of his flights, and he was able to keep up with us. So don't worry. They're going to help us get through that with customs, get your bags through, and get us safely on the bus, and we will head out. First thing we're going to do, that picture that you're going to see up there on the screen, I don't know if, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn so you all can see the screen in case you're not watching the Zoom. We're not watching the stream on Facebook, so you can see the pictures that I put up. All right. That is the aqueduct, the Roman aqueduct built in Caesarea Maritima on the Mediterranean. It is a beautiful spot. It's been there for thousands of years. Well, the first spot that we're going to stop is we're going to see Caesarea by the Sea, or what they call Caesarea Maritima. We're going to see the place. The Roman theater has seen the testimony of Paul, where Paul stood before Festus and Felix and Agrippa, where Agrippa said, "Paul, you almost persuade me to be a Christian." We're going to stand in the place in the amphitheater where Paul gave his testimony before Agrippa, and it's just amazing. And the amphitheaters are so masterfully built, thousands of years ago, perfect acoustics, so that you can stand on the stage and whisper, and the people up in the top can hear you clearly what's being said. So that's a fantastic location. We will then journey on. We'll see the Roman theater. We will go to Mount Carmel. Anybody know anything about Mount Carmel in the Old Testament? Mount Carmel is where the prophet Elijah, after the 3 years of famine, took on the priests of Baal, and they had a big showdown on the top of Mount Carmel, and they prayed for fire to come down. Let's see, is God the God, or is Baal the God? We're gonna see. One of the reasons that we like Mount Carmel is because it has one of the grandest views in all directions, and you will see the valleys below. You'll be able to see the Mediterranean. It's a really beautiful vantage point to see much of Israel in the north. We will also drive afterwards. We'll drive to the port city of Haifa. This was a last-minute change because of one of the hotels, and so they said, "You know what, since you're coming in early, instead of just checking you in and putting you to bed, let's go see the north of Israel first. We'll wear you out, and then we'll check you into this hotel right on the Mediterranean." Can you flip to that next that next picture there, Robin, that is the hotel where we're going to be staying right on the Mediterranean. It is a beautiful place, and there's big king-size beds. There is it is the Leonardo Plaza Haifa Hotel. I encourage you to look up all of the locations, all of the hotels that we're going to be in, see the amenities, and see what they've got. It's a beautiful place. We're going to see sunset on the Mediterranean that first night. It's going to be great. Now, what I will tell you is, because I know everybody will be concerned of like how long are we going to be out there, how much walking we're going to be doing, are we going to be exhausted? We're not staying out till 8 and 9 every night, all right? We will usually end our touring around 4 to 5, head back to the hotel, have time to kind of change clothes, and then go to dinner, and then crash. And we really like to have a little time of fellowship in the lobby or hang out, so find a little place where people can kind of break off into conversation groups and just talk about the day. Nothing formal. There's not like Bible studies. We're going to be looking at the Bible a lot during the day. I promise not to preach at every stop and location. I can't tell you that my dad won't stop and preach at every location, but we will. We also have other ministers on the staff as well. Minister Alonzo is going to be with us, so there might be some times that I look to one of you ministers and say, "Oh, you know what happened here. Go." and that'll be fun to get to share. I'm also going to send you a what I call a Israel cheat sheet, so that you can look up the scriptures associated with the places we're going. So we're going to check in very tired after a long international travel day and touring those spots. You're going to be ready to sleep in Israel. And we will wake up Friday morning in the beautiful Leonardo Club Tiberias Hotel, or in Haifa, sorry, in Leonardo Plaza, Haifa. And we're going to wake up, have breakfast, and then we're going to go to Sepphoris and the ruins of what was once the capital of Galilee, an impressive and important city where it is believed the parents of Mary, the mother of Jesus, were from. This is new for us. We've not been to Sepphoris before. We have been to Nazareth. We're going to the little place called Nazareth, which is now actually kind of a sizable city. But at the time, it was probably 75 or 80 people living in the village of Nazareth when the angel appeared to Mary. Yeah, that's Nazareth now. It doesn't look like the place where the little... Now, here's the cool thing. I want to tell everybody this. This is the great thing you can know about Israel, is there's going to be a lot of questions about, is this really the place? Did this really happen? But the reason we have experienced tour guides and archaeologists, experts with us, is because I don't want anybody to snow us. Does that make sense? I want somebody to say, this is the place. Now, in Nazareth, there's only one well. The Bible says that at the well in Nazareth, Mary was met by the angel, right? So, or at least by historic biblical tradition. So there's only one well in Nazareth. So when we go see the well of Nazareth, you're going to know you're in the right place. All right? So when we see Gideon Spring, there's only one spring in that one location. So you can't go, is this really the place where it happened? You can absolutely guarantee that what the Bible said, that you're standing in the place. All right? We're going to go after seeing the Jewish village and the way it looked 2,000 years ago. We will drive to Megiddo. Anybody know anything about Megiddo? Yeah, Megiddo is the valley. It's the place, the ancient, very ancient city that is the site of the great last battle, Armageddon. That is the location where the Bible predicts the great war between Christ and the nations. We don't have to fight in that. I read the end of the book, so we win. We win. I don't want to spoil it. So sorry, spoiler. But we're going to see, it's not only meaningful to future, meaningful to past. Some of the greatest military battles in history have been fought on this valley and in this plain, and we're going to see a lot of things about that. Dad?
Napoleon called it the greatest battlefield that the entire earth would ever have, and it's just quite an amazing thing. The first time I was there, just as we were there, about 6 Israeli fighter jets came screaming across that valley that day when we were there. At that time, it was just like, of all places. It was really amazing.
We are going to, after we see Megiddo, we're going to go to Gideon Spring, where the judge, we're going to see the spot where he took the soldiers. Remember, he takes 30,000 soldiers and then whittles them down to 300, and then God says, now you're ready for a battle. So we're going to actually see the spot where he took the soldiers to drink from the water and made that big draft separation there. So it's just going to make the Bible just come to life for you. The things you've read when you were in Sunday school and the things you heard about, you're actually going to be standing in the places where you see this. We will drive to Tiberias, which is one of the most beautiful towns on the Sea of Galilee. It's just, I think I was, 13, 14 when we took our first trip. And I still remember Tiberias is one of my favorite places. It was a big full moon over the Sea of Galilee, and it's just beautiful, especially at the time of year that we're going to be there. It's going to be cold. You'll start the day with a jacket. You'll probably end the day with it off. So wear layers. Depending on where we are, it can be chilly or it can warm up on us. We're going to check in that night to the Leonardo Club Tiberias Hotel. Make sure you check that out. But look at that. It's got a big old pool, so if you need a place to relax and chill out at the end of the day, I'm sure there's a hot tub too. We didn't stay in places like this. I know, sorry. I'm telling you, now see, I'm making her want to go back to Israel again. Yeah, we've been several times, and we've always stayed in. Yeah, very important. The other thing that I will tell you is, and I know, look, we're not the kind of people that throw thousands of dollars around, and I know you're not either. But I can just tell you that the value of what we're getting, because we're working with a tour guide directly in Israel this time. And in the past, we've used American agents who've done that. There's always an upcharge on prices and add-ons and things like that. But for the price, what we've got in 2023 for these kind of facilities, I'm really blown away myself. I'm super excited about it. On Saturday, this is, by the way, Friday night starts the Jewish Sabbath. In an Israeli nation, in a Jewish nation, even though there's lots of other people, they do honor the Sabbath. You're going to see a lot of Orthodox Jews there. The hotels always have a Sabbath elevator. The Sabbath elevators always freak the Americans out because we're like, well, what do I do? Well, it's an elevator that you don't have to push a button. What it does is it opens by itself, you get on, and it stops at every floor, going up or going down. All you got to do is get on, and ta-da, the door, because it would be violating the Sabbath to the Orthodox Jews to push a button on the Sabbath. Yeah, right? So they've got the heathen elevators for the rest of us, and it'll take you right to this floor you want to go to. But if you want to try out the Sabbath elevator with the Orthodox Jews, you can do that too. But that's just a super fun thing. You will see on Friday night, very busy. The Orthodox families will be there, staying in the hotels. They're ready to enjoy a day off, enjoy their Sabbath. It's a very sacred time. I think you're gonna enjoy being there during Sabbath. So on Saturday, when we wake up on the Sabbath, we start with our visits to Bethsaida. Bethsaida has only been discovered in the last few years, and I've never been there yet. I'm super excited. They believe that this is one of the places where Jesus hung out the most. In fact, the Bible talks about Bethsaida and Capernaum. It doesn't talk about Tiberias. It's one of the only towns in the Sea of Galilee that was not condemned by Jesus. It's the only town that still exists and still lives there. Capernaum is a ruin. Bethsaida is a ruin. All the other Chorazin, all the places that Jesus condemned, because he said, if Sodom and Gomorrah had a visitation like you had, they would still be alive today. He condemned those towns because he came with the word of life, and he did miracles among them, and they did not believe him. And so those cities that we're going to tour are ruins, except for Tiberias, the only one that Jesus didn't condemn at that time. So when we'll start in Bethsaida, the ruins of the hometown of the apostles Peter, Andrew, Philip, on the north shores of the lake, we will then visit the Mount of Beatitudes, the site of the best-known sermon of Jesus. the Sermon on the Mount, and afterwards we will visit some of the major sites around the shore where Jesus performed his best-known miracles, including the site of the feeding of the 5,000. We're going to see Capernaum as one of the most extraordinary little places because it's not a big city, but Capernaum has the synagogue where the disciples would have met. It also has the little street that talks about where Jesus was on his way from the synagogue, and the synagogue leader called him and asked him, "Come heal my daughter." Jairus was his name, and he called for the master to come and heal his daughter. And on his way to heal the daughter of the synagogue leader, he was touched by the hem of his garment by a woman who had an issue of blood. You're going to stand on the street where this happens. You're going to stand in a place where a Jewish archaeologist who's not a believer in Jesus is going to tell you, this is the home of Simon Peter. You're going to see the doorstep that Jesus would have walked into and the room where he would have met the ill mother-in-law of Peter when he laid his hands on her and commanded the fever leave. It's not a very big place, but you're going to get to say, I saw where Jesus walked into Peter's house. Capernaum it's a really cool spot right on the lake. And by the way, I've had some friends that were talking about the Israel trip, and one of my friends said, I don't want to go. It just seems all like a big desert, like just sand and rocks and everything. And though there is a lot of sand and rocks in Israel, Israel is a beautiful place. I know Leslie went there years ago when she was a young woman, and it's beautiful and green in the north, and there's luscious water, and there's rain that falls up on Mount Hermon, and it spills all the way down until we get to the desert regions. So you're going to see a lot of different topography there, a lot of different environments. We're going to also go on to the place where they call the primacy of Peter, where Peter confessed and said that he loved the Lord, and where Jesus forgave him after his denials. We're going to have dinner, a delicious lunch we always look forward to, where we actually eat St. Peter's fish. It's a tilapia fish. Don't be freaked out when you see the whole fish with the eyeballs and everything. But it's a beautiful, delicious meal there, and we'll all stand. A lot of times it's outside on the Sea of Galilee. It's just beautiful. We'll still go home that night and stay in the Leonardo Club Tiberias Hotel. We will, on Saturday, on the Sabbath, we will have a worship service on a Galilee boat, and it's going to look like that. We're going to have a worship service. We'll have a sermon. We will be surrounded by the beautiful hillsides. We'll be able to point out to you the place where Jesus healed the demoniac in the graveyard that is still there. We'll be able to look up at the tallest city on the nearby hill where Jesus said, a city on a hill can't be hidden. You're going to literally stand in the teachings of Jesus, and I'm going to remind you about everything he said. I mean, me and the Holy Spirit anyway. It's really his job. We're gonna have an incredible time. There is a museum there where just a few years ago they unearthed in the mud because the Sea of Galilee has high times and low times, and one time the drought got so bad that the water receded enough that they realized there was a preserved fishing boat. And they date it from the time of Jesus and Peter. They don't know whether it was one of Zebedee's boats. They don't know whether it belonged to Peter, but it certainly was exactly like the boats would have been that Jesus would have seen. He no doubt would have seen that boat on the Sea of Galilee. Does anybody else have goosebumps? I got goosebumps. So we're going to go and see this incredibly artfully preserved boat they call the Jesus boat. You can look up this stuff ahead of time. We're going to stop by a little place called Magdala. Anybody ever heard of Magdala? You'll know the hometown of Mary Magdalene, an important archaeological site. And then dinner and overnight, again, at the Leonardo Club Tiberias Hotel. We are staying in several hotels, but we are spending a few nights in Tiberias. We'll stay a few nights in Jerusalem, so we won't be changing hotels every night. So you can kind of settle in a little bit. On Sunday, we'll wake up, spend the day in the Golan Heights. Now, this is cold when you go up to the Golan Heights. Don't do like our friend Shalisa and wear strap heels to go to the Golan Heights. The Golan Heights is a beautiful view. What you're looking at is the border into Syria. So the Golan Heights is the mountains that protect Israel from Syria. It's been a very strategic military point. And a few years ago, politically, Israel, because that's not part of the Promised Land, they gained it in the 6-Day War a few years ago in an attempt to try to cause peace since things had settled down for a while. They were considering giving the Golan Heights back to Syria because Syria was not a threat. And then a little thing called ISIS popped up, and the Al-Qaeda got active. So you can see there's buildings down there in the valley. That's actually an Al-Qaeda camp. So we will be able to see into Syria, which Syria's got its own problems. They are not causing any trouble to Israel right now. So that's probably the closest we would come to even anything that would be considered terrorist activity. Is no threat to the people there, but you'll be able to say, I stood at the Syria border. By the way, to get to that place at the Golan Heights, we have to take a little road. There's only one road, and it's called the road to Damascus. So you will literally ride on the only road to Damascus, the very road where Saul met Jesus for the first time and eventually became Paul the Apostle. Are you excited? Anybody excited over there? Are you excited? Okay, good. Just one. Just checking in with you. All right. We will go to the Dan Nature Reserve. Tel Dan is a beautiful place. This is a rushing river. It comes down. It's all green. It's the most luscious green land you've ever seen. And they've discovered just a few years ago, uncovered what they call a high place. Because when Judah and Israel split, when the kingdom split, and Judah had the temple, Israel disobeyed, and they created their own worship site. And that worship site has been found and has been preserved, and we can actually go see where they disobeyed God and worshiped there in the high places in the north. But Dan and that region is beautiful. I think we're going to see the gates of one of the cities where Abraham went to rescue his nephew Lot after being abducted by these wicked kings. The gate of the city is like 6,000 or 7,000 years old, and you're going to see the very gate of the city that Abraham walked through when he and his special forces rescued Lot and the kings from Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, it's all there. How many of you been to St. Augustine? Right? And you were amazed by the oldest schoolhouse, right? Wow, the oldest city in America. Yeah, and if you've ever been to Europe and you've seen castles that are 900 years old and 1,500 years old, forget about it. You're going to see things that are 6,000 and 7,000 years old. They're going to look and they're going to say, oh, that's the new wall over there, and that's 2,500 years old. So yeah. Just to put in perspective some of the things we're going to see. We're going to go to Caesarea Philippi.
I love Caesarea Philippi. This is where it was a center of pagan worship, where they had the temple of Zeus and Diana or whatever. But it's also the place where, because there was extreme paganism there, and it's where Jesus stood and said to the disciples, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it, because there's a part of that temple there on these rocks that is referred to as the gates of hell. It's a little place where rocks where they would it's just really gruesome and horrible, but they would sacrifice little babies, and if the tide, they didn't know it at the time, but if the tide took the baby out, the sacrifice was accepted, and if the tide didn't come in, the baby wasn't accepted, and so they were, they had bad luck. But Jesus was making a point of these other gods have no power, and I do, and the gates of hell won't prevail. He didn't mean literal Satan's gates. He meant the worship of these gods cannot ever tear down the kingdom of God and what I've come to set up.
It's her favorite spot, and it is in the shadow of Mount Hermon, which is believed to be the place where the angels first fell when they looked upon the daughters of men. And so there's a lot of rich spiritual history there. It's also the place where Jesus, to reveal himself, when he was transfigured, went to the place that is considered the place where the angels fell. And he went to announce himself to the spiritual world, I'm it. I'm here. And from then on, they tried to kill him, and it was all part of his plan. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're gonna go see that place. We're going to Mount Benthal. We will see the actual field where the battle took place. We'll discuss the strategic importance of the Golan Heights to Israel's defense. So we're going to see some things that are important to the Jews and to the residents of Israel. Time permitting, we will see the lake at sunset from the Shalom Peace Promenade, descend by way of the Roman hot springs on the border with Jordan and Syria, and we'll have dinner and overnight at the Leonardo Club Tiberias Hotel. Then we're moving on. Monday, the 26th, we are going to get up, have an early breakfast, check out of our hotel in Galilee. We will stop at the Yardenit baptismal site on the Jordan River. It's a beautiful spot. There it is. It's a little hard to see in that blurry picture, but it's a beautiful spot where thousands and thousands of people come every year to be baptized as pilgrims. So if anybody would like to be baptized in the river where Jesus was baptized, I highly recommend it. It's cold, but I will be there for you. I'll help. I might get one of these other faithful ministers to help me stand in the cold water and baptize. But it's a great honor to do it, and we take pictures. They take video of the group, and we'll have a commemorative video to be able to take with it. They play some beautiful worship music while that's going on. It's a really meaningful spiritual time. We will then go from there to the south, to the city of Beit Shean. Anybody ever seen Jesus Christ Superstar, the movie? You remember the 1970 movie? This is the location where they actually filmed up the top of this hill where the bus drove up. The bus. They had no idea they were parking and filming on one of the ancient cities that would later be unearthed. That is the place where King Saul and Jonathan's bodies were draped on the city walls after they were killed. They had no idea when they unearthed Beit Shean that Beit Shean was built over one of the Decapolis cities that was a Roman city completely destroyed in an earthquake and buried. And they've unearthed that a few years ago, and we're going to get to walk through this city of probably 40 or 50,000 people at the time with perfect tiles on the street, mosaic tiles. We're going to see the place where they merchants would sell their wares. We're going to see where there were brothels of the day. You're going to see the entrance of temples. It was a very Romanized city, so it's going to be really cool to get to see the place of an ancient walled city at the time of David and a Roman city at the time of Jesus. You're literally walking through all of it, thousands and thousands of years of history. So for those of you who've never taken a European trip, this is the crown jewel. You picked the best one, the best one. We are going to move on from there. We're going to go to look at Qumran. Qumran is the place as we go down into the desert, and it is dry and it is barren. We will go to the place where there's thousands and thousands of caves where a young shepherd boy, according to the legend, threw a rock in to try to find one of his lost sheep and heard a smash and explored a little bit further, dug into the hole, and found hundreds and hundreds of vases that had been preserved for thousands of years, holding the oldest manuscripts that we have in possession in the world, proving that the Bible that the Jews have had all along was accurate word for word. It's considered the greatest archaeological find of the 20th or 21st century. So we're going to actually go see Qumran. We're going to have a museum there. There's a jewelry, by the way. If anybody like jewelry, there are shops and stores where you can actually get custom-made rings. You don't have one of your... our girls bought some silver rings. They're reasonably priced. They're not extraordinary. But in Qumran and the Dead Sea areas, you can get Hebrew rings or rings with scriptures on them. It's really neat. So the shopping's good there too. So you're gonna have a good time. We will. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah. So they sell Dead Sea mud. They sell Dead Sea mud because it's actually good for your skin. When we I'll tell you a little bit about that as we go. We're going to go to the Dead Sea, which is one of the wonders of the world, and it is the highest salt content in the world. There's a picture of a lady that is literally floating on the water. You can't sink in the Dead Sea because the salt content is so high. So it'll be fun for us all to go out. You do not, whatever you do not want to get in your eyes. You won't see for a day or so. Yeah, right. Yeah, no shaving. Yeah, ladies, don't shave your legs the day or two before we go to the Dead Sea, because you will feel every little scrape, or you'll notice scratches you didn't know you had until you get in that water, and you're like, oh, look at there. But it is a super fun experience. We don't swim a long time. There are little mud pits on the outside that you can scrape up the mud, and it just smears on you, and then you can rinse it off and get in. It's a lot of fun, a great photo op. They have Dead Sea creams and things that they make from the salts there. One of the other extraordinary things that's happened only in the last few years since we've been there, the last time we were there at starting, the Dead Sea is receding at such an incredible rate. There are these pools left behind as the Dead Sea is receding, and these pools are fresh water, and they're finding fish, and they're finding live things. The Bible predicts that the Dead Sea will flourish and life will come from the Dead Sea. It's like really weird to see these prophecies that were thought of just ridiculous years ago. Now the scientific community is saying, well, what do you know about that? So we're going to have a swim, and then we will check into, we will go to our Enjoy Dead Sea Hotel. That hotel, where was it? There it is. That's a little picture of the pool. So if the Dead Sea isn't your speed, we can hang out at the Enjoy. I hope you, I know Shannon's like, what? Yeah. We stayed in, I think we were in 3-star last time, the last few times we went. This is more 4 and 5-star, and I can't believe the price we're getting it for, too. So moving, that all look good to everybody? Good? That one's called the Enjoy Dead Sea Hotel. The Enjoy Dead Sea Hotel. So no, that's not a verb. It's not telling you, enjoy your Dead Sea Hotel. That is the name of it. Enjoy Dead Sea Hotel. So look those up on your time and check out the amenities of that. Tuesday, February 27th, early morning visit to Masada. Masada is a real, we're going to hit everything. We really, I told our tour guides and tour directors, I was like, look, if we've got to cram a lot of stuff in, I know there's been new discoveries, but if we have to cancel a few things, there's a few things that I don't mind missing if we had to. We didn't have to cut anything. So we're actually getting everything that I've ever seen and stuff that I've never gotten to see before. So I'm excited for you all, and I get to watch you enjoy these. We will go see Masada, which was the site of King Herod's kind of desert getaway. Was also the last place of the last stand where the Romans came and surrounded the place after a great rebellion after 70 A.D. 900 Jews committed suicide in that place because they would rather do that than become slaves to the Romans. They made a movie about it back in the 70s. It's something the Israelis, it's a very, very sad, tragic story, but it's something that they want tourists to see because they want the world to see that persecution of the Jews has been going on for thousands of years. And it's got an incredible cable car up to the top. We will see international visitors from all over the world. Last time we were there, we sang Shannon's song "All My Life" in what was the language in Setswana. We sang in the African languages with South Africans that were there, and on the cable car down, they were singing Shannon's song in South African. It was amazing. It was really, really cool. We will drive from there, and we will go to what is called Mount Scopus. Mount Scopus is the place where all the pilgrims into Jerusalem every year would venture. They would walk to the city of Jerusalem for the high holy days. We're going to stop there with the bus. Will get out and take a grand view looking over the city of Jerusalem. And this is the vantage point from the Mount of Olives. You're going to see the most expensive graveyard in the world, the most valuable property in the world, because many believe that when the Messiah comes, when resurrection happens, they only those people who are facing the eastern gate at Jerusalem are actually going to go in first. Everybody else has to wait. So the Orthodox Jews save up, and they spend a lot of money to try to be buried right there, so that when the resurrection happens, they're going to be facing that. The Muslims don't believe any of that at all. They don't believe what the Bible says about the Messiah coming and walking through the eastern gate, but they blocked it up anyway. So they've closed up the eastern gate. They've sealed it up. They've put an armory there and armed guards to protect it, and they put a graveyard because they believe that Jewish holy people can't walk through a graveyard. So they don't believe in the Messiah coming back, but they're going to make sure that he can't come that way. So when you see Jesus do it one day, you're gonna go, I've been to that gate. It's pretty cool. We will walk the Palm Sunday road. We will go to the Garden of Gethsemane. These are the trees that were alive at the time Jesus prayed in the garden. I'll tell you a lot more about those trees, but these are resurrection trees. They live for hundreds of years, and then they die. And then after 100 years, they sprout again. Jesus, on the night of his arrest and betrayal, went to pray in a resurrection garden to remind himself that God brings dead things back to life. It's also the same garden that King David would have strolled in. So ancient history. It's important to Jews and to Christians. It's really remarkable. I'm ready. We're going. I know, right? We're going to go to the city of David that was only discovered, probably 15 years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago now. The actual palace that David lived in. A female archaeologist discovered it by looking at the directions that said David went down to the city of David. Nobody had ever tried to go down from the temple and search that way. So she went down to the only place that was going down, and she dug, and she found the place where David lived. They have found excrement in the place that was their indoor potty. They know what they ate. They found their DNA experts now can tell you. They found the stamps of men who were written in the Bible as scribes. They found the stamps, the scribes that actually used it. It's really incredible to see this. And the Jews are super excited to have actual archaeological proof of David as written in the Bible, because up to just a few years ago, it was considered like King Arthur. He might as well just been a legend. Now they have archaeological proof. Our tour guide friends were secular Jews when we began traveling with them, and now several of them have become Messianic Jews, and they believe now, because the more and more they take tours and the more things are discovered, the more they go, what do you know? The Bible was right. And so it's brought many of them to the faith. We're going to go to Caiaphas' house. They found the house of Caiaphas and the cistern under his house where Jesus was held the night of his arrest, where he sat in darkness, while outside in the courtyard, where we'll stand in the courtyard, where his best friend denied that he even knew him 3 times. That's probably my favorite, one of my favorite places to see is the house of Caiaphas. You're going to cry a lot. You're going to cry a lot. This is why, can you imagine at the end of each day, we wind down by just sitting around and talking and going, what did you see? Like, what? You remember that part? Because it's going to be such a flood of information. You're going to want to come back and go, wait, what did Duran say about this place? And what did we read about that? You're going to love that time. We call it communion. It's a great time together. Then on Thursday, the 29th, by the way, we're staying at the Dan Jerusalem Hotel. I think I have a picture of that. That's the Dan Jerusalem Hotel. I know, look at Shannon. I'm sorry, honey. I'd like to apologize for all the other times I took you to Israel and it didn't look like that. I told her when I was putting all this together, I was like, honey, you're not going to believe the places we're staying. She's like, why didn't you take me there? Beautiful facilities. I'm so pleased with this tour company and what they've hooked up. I really would have been super happy to do what we've done in the past, but this is definitely a step up, and I'm really impressed. We did stay in some holes. They weren't bad. I just always warned Americans. I was like, look, European travel is not the same as American. Don't expect a European hotel to feel like an American hotel. But this one might come a little bit closer. So it should be nice. Thursday, February 29th, we start our day with a pleasant walk through the Jewish quarter of the Old City and see the Roman Cardo finally reaching the Western Wall. There, we got a picture of the Western Wall. By the way, the Golden Dome up there is the Dome of the Rock. That is the Mosque of Omar, and that is Muslim controlled. The Temple Mount, where Solomon's temple used to be, is controlled by Muslims. They have permission to be there by the Israelis. The Israelis are still giving them that space. It was about a year or so ago. There was some fighting and some skirmishes that went on there. People got concerned. No, is this going to turn over hands? Any of the fighting that ever goes on always happens when the tourists are nowhere around. So there's inner struggles that go on there. It's been calm. I believe we'll be able to go again to that area. You'll see some political posturing that happens, but we will be able to pray at the Western Wall, the men on one side and the women on the other. But that's the closest that the Jews can get to the temple of Solomon. We're going to go underneath that wall, and we're going to actually see the original stones of Herod's temple that were basically just leveled as Jesus prophesied. But we're going to go see the foundation stones of Herod's temple underneath the city.
The Western Wall, when you go to, you can bring some little tiny slips of paper. People write their prayer requests on it and fold it up and put it into the cracks in the wall as you pray over it. And then at some point they actually come and they will clean those out, but they don't ever get rid of them because they're a prayer and it's considered holy. And so they keep them. But it's really cool, and then sometimes you'll also see boys having their bat mitzvah there coming through. So you'll see, the Hasidics and all different I don't know what sects or denominations. I don't know what you call them. Different types of Jews there.
So it's a really ancient site and one you'll love to see. We will probably do the most walking in Jerusalem. Every other day, you're going to be on a bus, off a bus, on a bus, off a bus. I'm sure there will be days that we'll be tired of walking. The most walking we'll do is in the old city of Jerusalem because there's just not a lot of space to drive around. A lot of times the tour guide will say, I'm going to let you off here. I'm going to lead you this way, and our driver will meet us on the other side, and they'll pick us up at another place. It's not impossible for people with walking challenges. We've had people along that were slow walkers and just needed some assistance. Some people in wheelchairs have done this trip as well. So don't be intimidated by that. And if at a point you say, I could really use a break, there's going to be times when you can stay either with the bus or with the tour guide, or he'll say, you know what, we'll let them go tour those streets and we can hang out here. So we'll help you to enjoy the trip as best you can. Pleasant walk through the old city. We'll go shopping in those areas in Jerusalem. We're going to see the Antonia Fortress. We're going to go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. That is the Catholic site, believing to be the site of Golgotha and the garden or of the tomb and the burial. This is debated because we're also going to go see the garden tomb. I think I have there. We're going to go see the garden tomb that also fits the description. Early Christians were worshiping there at 150 A.D. So there's some reason that the early Christians were worshiping there in that space. And when you're in that space, it's incredible. It fits the description of an unfinished tomb on the inside. There's a large cistern because it's a garden there, certainly owned by a rich person. It fits the description very well. We'll have communion there in that space. And when you walk in, and you walk in and see the place where his body was laid, and you turn around and walk out, there's a sign on the door that said, he's not here. He's arisen. It's an incredible time. You will bring home a souvenir because when we do the communion there in that place, they give us little olive wood cups for communion. We'll share communion. You'll get to bring that home. We've got a collection of them at home. we have a ton of them now, but it's really a beautiful time there. We will walk the Via Dolorosa. I don't. Yeah, there it is. These ancient cities. It's. Yeah, I mean, the streets are incredible. These are the stones. They'll stop and point us. Duran will say, "These are the stones that were here when Jesus passed this way." There's been things that have been updated and upgraded, but you will see the ancient city as it was at the time of Christ. I just can't tell you how excited I am to take you there. On our last day, I asked if this was possible to do. Not every tour guide does it, but we are going to go to Bethlehem. Bethlehem is under Palestinian control, and they share with Israel, but we are going to get to go into the Church of Nativity that is shared by Armenians, by Orthodox, by Catholics, by non-denominational Christians. They all come in and do services in this one in this one place, and we will stand out. I don't know if I have a picture of the shepherd field. I think I do. There we go. We are actually going to stand on the hillside where the shepherds saw the angels announce the birth of Jesus and then ran into the city. This I want to give you, and I'm going to tell all of the folks watching online as well. This is the only part that I wish someone had warned me about the first time that we went when I was an adult, is that because of the suicide bombings that had happened now probably 20 some years ago, they built a large wall around the Palestinian areas, all the Palestinian places. Since they built those walls, there's been no more suicide bombers. There's been no more buses blown up. They've really contained the threat. But they also monitor who goes in and who goes out. And so when we go to the Palestinian control, our Jewish guide will get off, and a Palestinian Christian guide will get on the bus and lead us into the area of Bethlehem. So we'll pass into there and see there. They're Palestinian Christians that live and work, and they want tourists to come into their site as well. So you're safe. But what they didn't warn me about, they didn't warn Shannon and I about, was that the Palestinian guard wears a hood over his face and has a machine gun, and the Israeli guard has a, Israeli uniform on, has a machine gun. And all we looked up and saw a man with a hood with a machine gun get on our bus. And nobody told us. So there was a dirty seat after that. But the guide told us, "Don't worry, everybody. This is the Palestinian Guard, and Ali, the Palestinian Guard, he does this every day for his work, and he works with the Jewish Guard every day. So they have Benjamin and Ali, and they work together. It's kind of like Sam and Ralph every day in the cartoons. And their job is they meet every morning, and they say, 'Hey, how you doing?' 'I'm doing good.' 'Okay, are you ready for the day?' And their job is to get on and walk the bus from back to front, to look at all of us smiling at them, and they go, 'Okay.' And then they get off. They just want to make sure we're not transporting somebody who doesn't belong in or taking somebody out. That's the only protocol. I wish somebody had just told me about that. Now that I know about it, I'm prepared, and we've gone through it several times, so there's nothing to worry about. Once inside the Palestinian area of Bethlehem, you'll see it's kind of an older city, but the food is fantastic. They will take us to the Nativity. They will take us into the caves, where no doubt one of those caves would have been where Mary delivered Jesus. And we're going to stand in the shepherd's field where the angels announced it. We're going to get to go into the church in the Nativity. We're going to get to see there. We'll get to pray there. We'll probably sing a Christmas song while we're there. And there is a tourist shop with jewelry and hand-carved wood there. We want to take you there. It is owned by Christians in Palestine, and they do a massive business there. I'll tell you when to spend money. I'll say, no, don't buy that here. We're going to Sammy's. So once we get to this place in the Bethlehem area, it's going to be a great souvenir shop, and you're going to want to go spend some time, save your souvenir money for Bethlehem. It is the last day, so you can get some things along the way. But if you can get the stuff in Bethlehem, I'll tell you, let's do that. Now, there's always a disclaimer that this daily itinerary is subject to change without notice. That could be because of weather. That could be because of something closing for the day. That could be for any number of reasons. But our tour guide is checking in with the national office all the time, and will be able to keep us abreast. So we'll know. And if he goes, oh, we can't go in there today, so we'll do that tomorrow. But I'm going to do, so we won't sue over this. If any of this changes, we won't go, Duran, you promised. All right. So he's going to make sure that we get all this. On the last day, we will see the Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum, which is really beautifully done. You'll see the tree where they've honored Oskar Schindler, the movie Schindler's List, and all the people, the righteous people that helped save Jewish lives during the Holocaust. It's really an extraordinary visit. And we'll see the Shrine of the Book where the Dead Sea Scrolls are displayed in Jerusalem. We'll see a modern, like a 2,000-year-old, it's not a 2,000-year-old model. They made a model of the city that you walk around. It's about a half, like a full acre. And it looks just like it did at the time of Jesus. So you'll get to see it from above. It's really, really extraordinary. And then we will end our last evening in Jerusalem at a beautiful restaurant where we will take our tour guide and our bus drivers, who will be good friends by then, and there will be a lot of tearful goodbyes, but we're going to have a beautiful meal that night. There will be most likely lamb. They really like that's a special meal when you get to share lamb and other things in case you're not a fan of lamb. But there is the night that we'll reflect on some of the great things that we've seen. I'll probably give some superlatives, maybe some awards for best attitude and best dressed on the most steps, most money spent in a tour shop. We're gonna have all kinds of we'll have some fun with that. What'd you say, Shane? Biggest whiner? Yeah, we might give a biggest whiner. No, we won't do that. That Shannon's already received that, so we're not gonna. Not going to give that. Now let me just talk some details about the travel. You're going to want to pack layers. You're going to want to take bathing suit. You're going to take some flip-flops. But please don't bring 2 big suitcases full of stuff. You don't need it. You'll need bring 3 pairs of jeans and a bunch of shirts to change into and a jacket you can wear every day. You're not going to win any fashion prizes. You just want this to be, you want to be comfortable. You want to be casual. We don't have to dress up anywhere that we're going. We can really be casual. What else am I missing? What? Yeah, ugly Americans. Yeah, but when we used to travel, we used to say, don't wear tennis shoes because that makes you look like an American. Everybody wears tennis shoes now around the world, so be comfortable. There's not really. There's a couple places where they'll say, ladies, can you cover your head? And we go into certain cathedrals, but it's not been. There's some protocol places, like if we go in the Muslim side outside the mosque, they ask couples not to hold hands. So no public affection between men and women. They might have somebody come over and go, knock that, and you go, don't be rude. But anyway, that's for the most part. Yeah, for the most part, that's that's the way that's going to go.
Do they allow you or anymore to ever go into mosque
We've not been inside the mosque, not since I was a kid. They let us walk around it. It's a beautiful mosaic. It's been there for a long time. The mosque that's there, and we'll talk a lot about that. We did see one of the few times that we were there. There's a thing that happens. There's a group of Jews who are Zionists who believe the Messiah is going to come, and the Jews are going to take control over that area, and so they assert their national right to walk on the Muslim side, and they walk in a little controlled group, and they have armed guards protecting them so that nobody messes with them. And then there's a group of Muslim women who follow them around and yell at them. Rah, rah, rah. And this happens every single day, and it's just a big parade, and it's just a little show off. But if you're standing there on this side and you hear yelling and you're like, what's going on? You'll know what that's all about. It's a daily routine. It's a show, political show. The Jews are walking around going, we get to walk here, and we're going to own this again one day. And the Palestinians are like, get out of here. But there's no violence. There's no pushing. There's no shoving or anything like that. It's all a show. In fact, the guides have told us that the Muslim women get paid to come and to yell at them as they do that. So it's a commerce. The European electric standard. So you're going to want to take a converter, transformers. So whatever works in Europe is going to work there. There are some of the hotels that have American Standard plugs. Curling irons and hair dryers. A lot of the hotels, the nicer hotels, probably going to have a hair dryer. We might, if you really need a curling iron, ladies or men, we can stop at a store and get a cheap European curling iron, something you can carry with you. Yes, Alonzo. A lot of places do now have, on the lamps beside your bed will have USB, so you can charge on that. The technology is really changed to provide for that. So if you have a computer or something that needs significant power, bring a transformer charger. What else am I thinking? Almost everything is with American dollars, and card is accepted almost everywhere we go. If you try to take, this is what Shannon said, if you try to take American dollars and change that over there, you're actually going to get a better exchange rate if you use your credit card. And all the shops are going to accept cards. So it used to be a big deal. You used to have to take money and have to change it in a bank and make sure you're going to a reputable place. But now the card is accepted everywhere. Am I missing anything else that I was... Bring small denominations for little tips. You'll if you give any money to a little kid on the street, you will have 200 kids rush you. Daddy, mommy, so just be careful of that. Don't carry lots of valuable things. Put your wallets in your front pockets. We're not going to be a threat, or we're not going to be afraid of pickpockets. But just like if you were in New York or in Chicago, if you were any big crowded tourist city, there's always somebody out there looking for somebody who's vulnerable. So yes, sir. Yes, no, you can take a little backpack with you. In fact, the tour company will probably provide a little pouch that we can carry with us all the time. Everybody's going to have a earpiece that you can turn on, a radio device with an earpiece or a headset, so that you can hear Duran. He'll have a little microphone attached to him, so that even though there's about 32 of us right now and a few others that are considering sign up, we've only got 4 spots left. So everybody's going to be able to hear. You'll be able to hear Duran say, "Okay, everybody, I'm over here by the wall," and then you can go find him.
Same bus and the same driver we'll have the same bus and the same driver every day. So if you want to leave something on the bus, like if you want to bring your backpack with you, you can leave it on the bus while you go to see the site. And you won't be without it but maybe an hour or maybe 2 hours or something like that, and it'll be locked up and it'll be completely safe.
All your stuff is safe. I wouldn't take your expensive jewelry there. That's just, we don't when we travel anyway, but we've never felt unsafe in those spaces. Yeah, hats are great. Lots of people wear hats all the time. The sun, by the way, the sun is extremely bright in that part of the world, so sunglasses are kind of imperative. It will be, it's just super bright, unless it's raining, and then we might have a little travel umbrellas. Yeah. The weather that time of year is going to be, between, it could be 40s. It could be 40s at like early morning or at night, and it could be, I know, right? And it will warm up to high 70s to even low 80s when we get down in the desert. So it's going to swing pretty far. Most of the time, it's going to be like Florida winter. So you'll wear a jacket, and then you'll get out in the middle of the day, and you'll be like, I'm kind of hot. It is. That's a good question. It's dry, but there can be rainy. They get very little rain throughout the year, and we're going during a season that if it's going to rain, it's going to rain during that time. So, but we won't be hampered by rain every day. Okay.
Haifa.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Haifa is it's up near the Lebanese border. It is on the Mediterranean, and it is the diamond capital of the Middle East. So it is all of the diamonds, Israeli diamonds, some of the most beautiful diamonds come from that area. So I know Gary's already shaking his head, but buddy, you owe this woman a lot. I know what she's had to put up with. So yeah, I would think about stopping in Haifa. Yes, money for diamonds. Put that down. Put that down. Right now, I'm going to open it up. Is there anybody online or anybody here that may have a question? Let me give first option to our folks watching online, and I can hear you. Any questions? Great. Yes. Take a Bible or have your digital Bibles with you. Bring a journal. Something to write with. I think you're gonna want to pencil down things and write down things that you see and that you hear. It's going to be an overload of information, but it'll just awaken your walk with the Lord. It's going to be amazing. How about Curtis? Has anybody got any questions from Oklahoma? Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Take a camera, take your phone, so you can take pictures. There's only been a couple spots where security-wise, when we came, I was a kid, came from Jordan into Israel. They wanted us to take pictures of the ceiling so that they could see that it wasn't a weapon, that it was actual camera. I haven't seen that happen in a long time. Certainly not on the Israeli side, but sometimes transferring from one. Marcia Romero from our church was a professional photographer, and she took a camera. Usually in every group there's some either amateur or pro photographer that's got a great camera. We encourage anybody that fancies themselves a photographer to come along and take pictures. Please check the expiration date on your passports, because they will not let you into Israel if it's going to be expired within just a few months. All right, 6 months I think is the rule. So make sure that you check. It. Now, the age of COVID added a new rule where they would say we want to make sure that you have been vaccinated. They're not enforcing that anymore, but they highly recommend that you've been vaccinated. They don't really check that anymore. So whatever your view on that politically, it's not going to be a challenge. But they leave it up to you to make sure that you're safe. And I'm going to give you more information as the days come about the insurance coverage that we have, the travel insurance. Again, it's only about $50 a piece, so we're going to do that in the expense. Hold on one second. It's about $50, but that's going to be that's going to be included in your trip. We're taking care of that, so it won't be an additional. Well, I'm not going to nickel and dime you on that. So, hold on one second. Rod? The normal, what would you say, normal time, they probably start serving breakfast around, I think we usually get on the bus about 8:30 or 9 in the morning. So yeah, there's time to grab some breakfast in the morning before you hop on the bus. We can get snacks around there. If we're in Jerusalem, you've never seen fruit like they sell in the markets of Jerusalem. The strawberries, I mean, I'm sorry, Plant City. Whatever they sell in Plant City doesn't get to be called strawberries when you've tasted an Israeli strawberry. It's like a big fist-sized ball of candy. I never had a strawberry taste like strawberry candy. I never understood why this candy was called strawberry, because it just didn't taste the same. It does in Israel. It's extraordinary. The tomatoes there are beautiful. It's safe to drink the water. We will probably have bottles of water everywhere we go, so you want to take it, but it's not like Mexico or anything like that, or India. People don't complain about having stomach issues in Israel, so that's good. Question? That yeah, it used to be a thing where they would say don't get the tomatoes here or whatever because of the way it's been treated. That's not really been an issue in the last several times we've been there. We found the produce to be extraordinarily delicious and really really good. Anything else anybody wants to know? Yeah. Question. I believe we are flying Delta. That's what they have. Our tour company has reserved. Yes, you should be able to get the miles, and we're going to get more details on that. I do want to let everybody know online too that the deposits you all have made, the $400 deposit to secure your space. We are going to be securing all that. We've got like October 21st is the drop dead date that we have to say, all right, here's our group. The final payment would be like in November. And if you need to space that out, let us know. All monies are going to, this is very important online, all monies are processed through God's House Orlando, but we discovered a gruesome reality, and that is if you give digitally, it costs us an extra 3%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you do the math on 33 people paying $4,500 to go, and if everybody paid digitally, the church is going to pay about $4,500. So we'd rather not have to spend it. So if you could send a check, a money order or whatever, or take the option to pay the 3% if it's more convenient for you. If you'll do it that way, there will be more perks on the trip, because I'd really like to be able to provide you with like a hoodie for travel. We'll have little packs and carry some little extras. I want you to feel like VIPs when we do the trip. Anything else? Any other questions you're thinking about? There is, if you go on the app, there is a drop down that says Israel, and you can give that way. But just remember, when they give you that option, if you want it that convenient, otherwise just send us a check, and we'll process all of that. Everything, every detail will be handled by our financial director, executive pastor Rod. He's better accountant than me. Yeah, we're not intermingling it. I think November 21st, the deadline for, I think for airlines. They will ticket all the airlines. They will secure all of that. If there's any balance on the trip, I'll find out. It's generally, since we're going in February, it's usually like 60 to 90 days out. They want that paid up. And we can make arrangements if somebody goes, wait, I just need a couple more weeks. Let us know. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If my figuring is right, if your passport expires by or before August of this year, 23, you need to get an... I misunderstood. Thank you. Okay.
So if your passport is expiring 6 months after the trip, they probably won't let you go in. So make sure that take care of it right now. Kissimmee, downtown Kissimmee Courthouse is a great place to go get your passport renewed. They process it really fast, and there's not a long line. Gary, we're going to New Orleans. Oh, that's good. Awesome. That's good. Nice. If you're looking for an excuse to go to New Orleans, I'll go with you, Gary. We'll make sure our passports are ready. We're going to New Orleans. Anybody else got any questions? Robin, you've been helping me so diligently. Do you have any questions over there? You got the close-ups of all these pictures. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Balance is due November 21st. So that's what the objective is, right? Yes, yeah. So thank you all for coming tonight, giving your time. Thanks for listening to me babble on about stuff I'm going to talk about again. But I'm really, really excited. And please take some food, take some pita, take some falafel. And Shannon's going to get some containers. Any other questions before we close off this session? Yes, Curtis's. Diana? Hold on, listen. We can talk to them to see if they can help to make sure that you get on there. Normally, it would be up to you to get yourself to Atlanta for that flight, but they've been very accommodating. So we'll talk to them and say we've got a couple coming from Oklahoma, and they'll help that happen. Somebody else had asked a question about flight miles and upgrade to business class or something like that. Anything can be done for a price. We don't do it, but we will put you in contact with the tour company who can, if you want to sleep in that cubicle up front, by all means, I'll be in the back with the white trash. So that's what I'm used to. I'm the poor kid that always sleeps in the back. I take what we call a poor this is a poor man's first class seat is an Ambien, a little tiny pill. You take it, you sleep in any position that you're in, you wake up and you're there, and it's amazing. So, anything else before we end the Zoom? Yes, Annette.
I have a couple of friends that are interested in possibly going. How should they reach out to you to secure a spot?
If you if you give them the link that I sent to you and your friends, just give them that link and tell them just to click on that, register, and pay their deposit, and it'll be secured.
And the balance is due November 21st?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think that's it. Thank you all so much for this. It's becoming real. It's really going to happen, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to go back. And I'm so glad you're going. We're going to have a great time, and we're going to get to know each other all real well. All right. We love you guys. Have a great night, okay? That you might encounter if you're traveling, if you have prescription drugs, just bring them in the bottles with the prescriptions so they can see it's, I carry vitamins around the world and, in a Ziploc bag, and I've never really been challenged on any of that, but I have been cleared from, I've never been on a no-fly list yet, so. I did. I got pulled over, but that's in Poland. The name Pavlak is like Smith and Jones over there. So, yeah, that was weird. I was trying to get out of Orlando, and they said because of Polish Airlines. Yeah. There's that. I think there's a prison named after us. So I go tell you. That's what he said. That's where the joke comes from. They said if you have a ski in your name as a Polish person, that means that you descended from royalty. And so some people ask us, did you drop the ski when you came to Ellis Island? I said, no, we've always been low class. Pavlak's always been Pavlak. We never had a ski to drop. We've always been the bottom rung. But thank you all so much for coming. I'm so excited. Those of you we've not gotten a chance to know yet, we look greatly forward to getting closer with you, and we're going to have a great time. Thank you all. Have a wonderful night. Take some food, all right?